Hey guys, Angie here to recap UFC 299, Sean O'Malley versus Cheeto Vera for the Bantamweight title, and also an amazing weekend of events for martial arts. We had Francis Ngannou facing Anthony Joshua in the boxing early in the weekend, and now UFC 299. I'm a little bit exhausted from all the excitement. I actually got all my picks right for the first time ever, which is pretty crazy. I made a few bets too. I didn't get to bet on all of my picks, so unfortunately, because for some reason they weren't available where I was betting. But I did bet on. Actually, I bet on Macy Barber and Caitlin Sabanara. Although I did think that Sabanara won that fight in the end. She fought really well. So I got that one. I put $1 on Dustin. I only bet for fun, and I put $1 on JDM. Still risky fights, but yeah, I'm happy. It's just insane, really. So let's start with the main event. Really no surprises here. A lot of people were predicting this result. O'Malley to pick Marlon Vera apart for 5 rounds. I feel terrible for Cheeto. Watching the fight, it felt like Marlon Vera could have done more, and maybe he could have, but I rewatched it and then I thought, maybe he was trying his best, and executing a game plan when you're in there, when you're actually in the octagon, it's impossible to know what it's like unless you've ever done it. And I think O'Malley was just too much for him, and he was outclassed. You did see little moments where Cheeto did go for it a bit more, especially at the end, in the last 10 seconds of the round, where he did have success. But in all honesty, the amount of damage that Cheeto took, especially in the second round when he got kneed by O'Malley, I'm sure that really damaged him and probably impaired him for the rest of the fight. And Cheeto, overall, he took a tremendous amount of damage. A kind of damage to some fighters is career ending, and I know Cheeto won't be deterred by it, but that's a terrible way to lose in a way. Maybe it would have been nicer if he had have been knocked out early, so he wouldn't have had to take all that damage. I'm really impressed with O'Malley, though. He did get hit with a lot of brutal shots as well. Not nearly as many, obviously. But he took it and he remained composed throughout the fight. And then Cheeto landed that amazing liver shot just like in the last second of the fight. And then it was just too much for O'Malley to take. And it's just frustrating because you think, why didn't Cheeto do that earlier? But maybe it's because O'Malley was, just by that stage a bit exhausted. You go around in circles trying to figure out why Cheeto couldn't have done better. But I think a lot of it does fall back on the fact that O'Malley had the foot movement, had the speed advantage. He had too many advantages against Cheeto, and it sucks for Cheeto just to lose like this. But like I said, I'm very impressed with O'Malley. I really feel like he showed maybe even more. He added on more to the idea that he can go through adversity, because I think he did take a lot of damage in this fight too. I think he really injured himself too. O'Malley really built off the fact that he can take a lot of punishment. And yeah, I really stand by the idea that O'Malley is going to get hard to beat from here, because he's shown that he can mentally block out anything that's really uncomfortable for him. You know what? I don't really have a lot to say apart from that on this fight, because it did really play out the way a lot of people were predicting. I did predict him going 5 rounds of Cheeto. I didn't put a bet on it though, because I wasn't entirely confident, because Cheeto does have this spiritual side and you never know with that. But at the end of the day, I just think it was given that O'Malley was going to be too much for him. Congrats to anyone that did make that pick O'Malley by decision. That's pretty cool. So for O'Malley, I think O'Malley needs to fight either Corey Sandhagen or Merab. I would like to see Corey, because I think Corey has earned it and maybe been around a bit longer waiting for that title shot. I have a feeling the UFC might want to make Merab and O'Malley, but I still think O'Malley will win that fight. Even though I think Merab will bring a new set of problems for O'Malley, I think O'Malley will be even too slick for Merab, as crazy as that sounds. But let's see. Let's see who he's matched up with first. For Cheeto, I don't want to say that he... This is the problem, is that he did perform really well. And he even performed better than what he did maybe in his last couple of fights, but it still wasn't enough. And it made it look like he wasn't trying because O'Malley was so good. And then he has to take all this damage, and he looked unrecognizable at the end of the fight. So for Cheeto, this is really tough. He almost maybe should think about going up to featherweight just so he doesn't have to have such a brutal cut, but it may improve his performances if he does cut that out of the equation so that he has a bit more energy in the fight. Because it looks like he's very aware of his energy bar, and I don't know if that plays on his mind during the fight, but it would be nice to see him maybe go up to featherweight, or even retire, because Cheeto's still got a lot of fight left in him. But don't get me wrong, but I don't think that, in all honesty, I think it'll be a very, very, very tall order to get back to the bantamweight belt and even win. I've said it before a few times, but I think that if you fight for the belt and you don't get it, it just gets even harder to accomplish because you've already failed at something so big. Anyone that fails on the first try and then gets it the second time, that's very, very, very impressive. That's a big mental hurdle to get over. Cheeto fought well, but it just wasn't enough. It sucks. I don't think he'll retire at all, but I think for some fighters that may be enough to make them want to retire. But Cheeto's still got plenty of money and plenty of fun fights to have, but maybe go up to featherweight. Yeah, in conclusion, I think the main thing is credit to O'Malley. He's really improved. He's rose to the occasion. He's proven that there's more to his game than there was before. So he's definitely won my respect as a fighter. Whereas before I wasn't too sure about him just because he was favoured by the promotion, but he certainly rose to the standard. And Dustin knocks out Benoit Saint-Denis. Yay! I had a feeling that Dustin could do it. He had very good energy coming into fight week, and when he's having fun and he's cheerful and making jokes, you know he's in a good mode. So that was a really good sign to see. And also at the weigh-in, he looked a bit stronger than usual. I think the last weigh-in he looked a bit too gaunt, but he looked a lot better in this weigh-in. I think he had a better weight cut and a better camp, and he just looked amazing. Benoit looked scary as shit, though. He looked like a killer, a cold-blooded killer, and I'm thinking, shit, this is going to be an intense fight. But I think when the fight started and Benoit just wanted to grapple, I knew Dustin would be okay, because I was mainly, I know this sounds dumb, but I was worried about him just trying to go and knock him out cold in the first round. But he did seem to look a bit awkward, and maybe that was a southpaw versus southpaw thing coming into play there. It showed that I think the fact that he grappled first showed that he was afraid of Dustin's striking. And I think that probably gave Dustin a bit of confidence. But as you know, Dustin just wanted to get that gilly. He kept going for it. And I think in a strange way that actually helped him win the fight, because it was almost like a weird feint, because Benoit was just kept thinking about that. And I think it mixed it up a bit for Dustin. So it kind of worked into his favor in a way. That was an amazing fight. I think after the first round, I could relax a bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, Dustin's just going to play in this fight and have fun. I think that's when he's his best, though, and he loves to get hit. He just wanted to wait and see. In the first round, he just loves to get hit and make it look like he's losing the fight, and then he just turns it completely around. That's why he's the best. Amazing win for Dustin. A bit of a setback for Benoit, but I think Dustin he's still an elite lightweight. I haven't seen Dustin look this good in a while. I mean, sure, against anyone in the top 5, it may have been a bit risky to fight like that in the first round and not really do much, but Dustin gets the best of most people in the world, no matter where they're at. Pretty happy for Dustin, and I'm probably going to have to draw another picture of him or something. Draw a picture of him sometime soon when I get time. I think for Dustin, yeah, see how everything falls into place. If he does get offered a big fight, then why not go for it? Don't really like the idea of him being focused on the title, though, because I don't think that serves him well. He knows what he's doing. He's keeping his options open, and maybe he'll see who wins out of Gagey and Max. Benoit just needs a bit of time off and to fight someone maybe lower back in the rankings. Maybe someone that isn't going to knock him out like Dustin did. That hook was just the most beautiful thing to see. And I just love Dustin fighting. I know some people say his striking isn't pretty. I think it is. That's just me. The way he boxes is just poetry. Okay. Kevin Holland and MVP. Well, MVP wins the unanimous decision. I picked MVP to win, and I really wanted to make this bet, but for some reason this fight wasn't available on my site that I bet on, so I was very disappointed I couldn't bet on it, but oh well. Great fight. I didn't expect MVP to actually dominate so much in the striking to the extent that he did, but it was very clear to see that the style of Kevin Holland was beneficial for him, and he just took full advantage of it. And not much else to say, but great work by MVP. God, there's so many great fights, it's hard to remember everything. A little bit frustrating for Kevin. It's really difficult actually to grapple someone who's long and lanky like yourself. MVP just kept the distance really well too, so he was very hard to, must have been hard to sort of aim at him when he's so far away and then he suddenly lunges in from so far away. Yeah, maybe MVP versus Wonderboy will be good. Yeah, for Kevin, I'm sure he'll get another good matchup, but yeah, this matchup wasn't going to favor him, so oh well. Kevin Holland's cool though. He'll get another really good fight soon. Oh my god, how did all these fights happen in the same night? No wonder I'm blasé. Sorry, Gilbert fans. I love Gilbert too. You know, the main thing about this fight that I took away was that referee really let Jack Della Maddalena beat the Burns, and it wasn't necessary. I think that knee knocked Burns out, and then the subsequent shots, one or two, you know, and then call it off. But I don't know how many landed, and that wasn't good to see. Gilbert couldn't even get up. He had to go back late and lay down because he'd taken so much damage just from that. So that was a bit annoying to see. I would be annoyed if I was Gilbert's team to see that. But he was really dazed by that knee, and he didn't need to take that much punishment. Very competitive fight though. Burns did really well. There was some moments where it looked like he was overwhelming Jack a little bit. I need to rewatch it though. Jack's boxing was so crisp. It was so effortless. It probably didn't look as impactful as it was because Gilbert took the shots well. Gilbert's game plan was great. It looked like he was overwhelming Jack. But Jack, his size did help him out with the grappling. He does have the skill, but I think the size advantage helped him out a lot there. And I was kind of wondering whether he was going to let the moment slip away, because if this fight did go to this decision, it could have gone either way, maybe on the scorecards. Like I said, I need to rewatch it, but Jack seized the moment and he did the headstand and got out of there, showing that he can rise to the occasion and take advantage of the moment to do something like knee Gilbert once they got off the fence, and then finish the fight the way that he did in the last round in the final moments. And then he calls out Shavkat Rakhmonov, which is a really good matchup, I think. I think that matchup suits Jack a lot, actually, because I think on the inside, I don't think Shavkat Rakhmonov's striking is very good, but if Della can get on the inside and box him, Shavkat's going to get knocked out. Possibly. Oh yeah, Shavkat's undefeated. Okay, so he's never been finished, so that will be an interesting test. Shavkat does have the length though, so the grappling could be a little bit hairy for Jack Della, but he's shown he can grapple, but against a longer opponent, it'll be very interesting. I'm up for that fight. For Gilbert, yeah, this is a tough loss. He's probably going to need a bit of time out now to recover, but I think Gilbert should just try and take the best fights for him right now, because he is a big star and he's a great fighter, so it'll be cool to see him get a big name next. Song Yadong and Petr Yan. Song started off really strong, but then Petr Yan, he got pissed off, I think once, was it Keith Peterson? Or one of the referee told him off for an eye poke or stopped him because of an eye poke, and I think that really pissed off Yan, and then he just got going from there. I know it wasn't that, but it seemed that way. Petr Yan, yeah, just comes out and he shows him which Song Yadong, what it's like to be championship level. What do you want to see from someone like Petr Yan? You want to see it's good to see him come back after losing the first round and but turn it up early enough to win the fight in the way that he did. So a great win for Pyotr. Disappointing for Song, but this was a big step up. And I think now he can just build off this. I'd like to see Pyotr fight up in the rankings now. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but maybe someone who's not too dangerous, but someone who's still going to be a challenge. That'd be really good for him. I think this matchup was a pretty great matchup, though. Having said that, Song did look good in the first round. Yeah, so that's the main card. We also had some really good fights in the prelims. Curtis Blades TKOing Jailton Almeida was beautiful to see, because Almeida just is a bit of a pussy, let's be honest. So it's nice to see him get schooled a bit and be like, hey, actually you do need to strike in this game. I don't mean to be mean, but the frustrating thing about Jailton Almeida is that he's very good at grappling, but he won't advance. He won't do anything with it. He'll just keep nullifying the game and not doing anything. So fighters like that can be frustrating to watch. So it always feels good when someone like Curtis Blades can get the win there. Oh yeah, and we have Mateusz Gamrot and RDA. That went to decision. That was a close fight. RDA started off well, but then Mateusz ended up taking over. Macy Barber defeats Caitlin Chikagian or Sabanara. I actually thought Caitlin won that fight. I think she fought really well, but I do need to rewatch that. I think Macy Barber maybe had the more damaging strikes, so they probably favoured Macy because of that. But I'm still surprised that Macy won that, but I'm happy that I won that bet. Oh, Jojo's Joanne Woods fight was really great, just because she was losing the fight and the commentators were saying, oh, she's not trying because she's retired, and then she lands that spinning back fist, I think, and nearly knocks out her opponent. So that was a really great way to go out. She was lucky to get that win, because I do think that the other girl won 2 rounds, but still feel good for Joanne Wood. Really good event. I'm still recovering from it, so thanks for bearing with me. And then we had Anthony Joshua KOing Francis Ngannou. I did end up watching that, and I was not surprised to see someone get knocked out, because when you're watching a Francis Ngannou fight, you know someone's going to get knocked out. Well, you know the probability of that happening is very high. So it was kind of weird to see Ngannou be the one on the what do you call the ring in the boxing ring, because it's usually the other way around. It's like, wait, this is normal, but it's not normal. And going into that fight, I haven't really been following Ngannou, but I've seen bits and pieces, and I'm thinking, God, this guy's ego is going really big. And some of the things he was saying weren't necessary. I think it was fine for him to say who fumbled the bag at first and blah, blah, blah. But I think he was saying a few things that didn't seem to make sense to me, because I don't think he needed to keep proving and affirming certain things to himself. But I had a weird energy about it. I'm not saying that is why he got knocked out. I don't think that's the case. But Anthony Joshua schooled him and showed him that boxing is an entirely different sport, and even though that some fighters from MMA can go over and have success, not at the very best, not at the top level, because these guys have trained their whole life in that one sport. And when you're an MMA fighter, you're trained to use more weapons at once, and these guys have just been focusing on 2 weapons their whole life, whereas in MMA you're focused to use maybe 12 weapons at once. So it's never going to work, and vice versa. That's why they know they can't compete with MMA. I think this is probably a good outcome for boxing, and it's a good outcome for MMA as well, because these novelty fights, they don't really mean anything, and I mean they do, but it's good to have respect for both sports. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that. It's a bit of a shame though, because I really I think Ngannou, everything he's done has been good, but it would have been nice to see him stay around in UFC more, and now he's just going to be stuck in PFL. But yeah, we'll see what happens with all that. Yeah, but that's about it really. Thanks for all the support, and thanks for coming by. yeah, I'm a bit roasted, and I'm gonna have to recover now and rewatch the fights and actually take it all in. But yeah, I'll see you maybe for UFC 300 soon, and take care and see you around the traps. Bye.